Hello everyone. Today we'll be discussing about relativistic equation which we had started in the last class. So as you know, Dirac formulated a relativistic equation which based the theory of relativity, and before that Klein-Gordon had attempted it, and there was there was a flaw because the Klein-Gordon equation was a second order equation in time and space and time, and therefore on finding out probability density, it was showing a possible negative value for probability density which needed to be explained further. Hence we needed an equation which is linear in let us say P. So we found out the Bayes equations were also derived. Now moving further, we will try to find out a first order equation, something like our Schrodinger's equation. So again we will start with our Schrodinger's equation. Now again we know xi is equal to IH bar dou psi by dou t. Now this Hamiltonian linearization of Hamiltonian means you will write PC square, instead of PC square you write C alpha dot P plus beta MC square, where alpha and beta are operators, vector operators, which will be determinant on after deriving the Dirac's equation. Now substituting, express this value, that is C alpha dot P plus beta MC square in this equation. We will get C alpha dot P plus beta MC square psi RT is equal to IH bar dou psi by dou t. Let us name this equation as equation 3. Now substituting for operator, again we know quantum mechanics postulates say that every variable, dynamical variable, corresponds to an operator. So now here what is P? Substitute it, minus IH bar del and IH bar dou psi by dou t, which is E, so that we can substitute here. So we will rearrange this equation and we'll write as IH bar dou by dou t plus IH bar C alpha dot delta minus beta MC square psi RT is equal to 0. Now what is this? This is E psi minus C alpha dot P minus beta MC square psi RT is equal to 0. Now look at equation 5. Now what you will do? You multiply E plus C alpha dot P plus beta MC square from the left to equation 5. Then what you will get? This, that is this plus this, psi is equal to 0. Now when you do that, what you get? You get C square minus alpha E square minus E square alpha dot P whole square minus beta square MC square C4 minus MC cube alpha dot P beta minus MC cube beta alpha dot P psi is equal to 0. Please remember, actually when you do this you get some more equations like E square is fine, P square is fine, these three terms are okay. What about these terms? This, if you multiply this and this and this and this will cancel. Beta MC square E and E beta MC square, these terms will cancel, and finally you will get this term that you have to do, and you will easily find out. There will be only 4 terms which will be getting cancelled. Now look at this. Look at this. Now what happens is that alpha, we have said these are all vector operators. So instead of alpha we will put it as I alpha x j alpha y plus k alpha z and p I px plus j py plus k pz. When you substitute here you will get this expression as alpha x px alpha y py plus alpha z pz, and then here as alpha x px alpha y py plus alpha z pz psi is equal to 0. Now then you expand the whole thing. You know this is a when you make it square, that is a plus b plus c square. So now you do the analysis, you get so many terms. Will be some pure terms, then some mixed terms. So you rearrange all the terms. It's not an easy exercise. It will take some 5 to 10 minutes to rearrange all the terms. Once you rearrange it, not difficult mathematically, just you rearrange the terms, you will get an expression like this. This is the complete expression where you are having the pure terms and mixed terms of px py, pz py and pz px. Again here this term. Again what you are doing, beta. Here we will write down one more term. I think we have missed it. Here it should be a beta. Then it will be, I think we have written. We have written it here. Beta. Yeah, it's fine. We have written it here. So that beta will come into picture. So that beta will do all these things. Beta, it's fine. We have written. This beta we have missed. Okay, there should be a beta here. Now, once you do this, you will get these terms. Now, with these terms, you name this as equation 8. Now, once you do this, why we are doing this? Because ultimately we want to say that the relativistic energy moment should be of this expression. This we have done. P square C square plus M square C4 is equal to E square is the relativistic momentum expression. So, this equation, if it has to be relativistic, has to be in this form. E square minus E square px square plus py square plus pz square minus M square C4 psi is equal to 0. We are getting such terms. Now, but what about the rest terms? What are you going to do with the rest terms? That is something which we need to think about. Now, what you will do with the rest terms? You realize here, then these terms have to go to 0 to satisfy this, and this alpha x square have to be 1 to satisfy this relativistic expression, that is relativistic energy momentum expression. So, from equation 8 and equation 9 we realize, unless alpha x square is equal to alpha y square is equal to alpha z square is equal to beta square is equal to 1, and alpha x y plus alpha y alpha z alpha x and so on are 0. Again alpha x b plus beta alpha x and alpha y beta plus beta alpha y and alpha z beta plus beta alpha z is 0. We are not going to get this from equation number 8. Once you realize this, let us put all these things as equation 10. This has to be together. What do we understand from these equations? We realize this alpha x, alpha y, alpha z and beta are operators. So, their square roots are unity, fine, that is quite evident. And they are anti-commuting. Alphas are anti-commuting with each other and also with beta. So, they overall anti-commute. They are all anti-commuting operators. Normally, because they are anti-commuting operators and then these conditions cannot be expressed by some numbers or some differentials. So, this is hinting towards, or at least actually it is showing that these operators, for these operators, matrix representation is the only alternative. നമ്മൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കേണ്ട ഒരു കാര്യം, anti-commuting square root ആണെങ്കിലും normal vectors operatorsനെ പോലെ കാണിക്കുന്ന പോലെ ഒരു differential വെച്ചിട്ടോ ഒരു number വെച്ചിട്ടോ ഇതിനെ express ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല. Matrix representation മാത്രമാണ് ഇതിനെ express ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. That's why matrix representation is the only alternative. Now, from again we have got all these expressions. From these we will derive some of the properties of alpha and beta, which will lead us to actually define alpha and beta or express alpha and beta. That will be the correct word. Now, from the properties of alpha and beta, let us see what you see. Alpha x beta plus beta alpha x is equal to 0. So, this can be written as alpha x beta is equal to minus beta alpha x. So, multiply from the left, you get beta alpha x is equal to minus beta square alpha x. Beta square is equal to I. So, trace of beta alpha x beta is equal to trace of minus trace of alpha x. That is fine. Now, using cyclic property of trace, that is ABC is same as BCA is equal to CAB. Apply trace here, ABC. So, when it becomes CAB, what will happen? It will become CAB, it will become B square alpha x. Trace will be B square alpha x, which is equal to minus trace of alpha x. Now, what is B square? B square is alpha x. B square is I. So, trace of alpha x is equal to minus trace of alpha x, which is not possible because a quantity which is a negative trace of itself. What does it mean? It means trace is 0. This is not possible for a number, is it not? So what do we conclude? We conclude that these alpha beta matrices are traceless in nature. So alpha beta matrices are traceless. Now we have to also check whether they are Hermitian. This is quite natural. You're talking about Dirac Hamiltonian, which should be Hermitian, HH dagger, PP dagger. So this whole term has to be beta, alpha, all have to be Hermitian in nature. This is quite evident from the relationship between Hamiltonian. Now, one of the most important thing, because this is something new, rest things had automatically come out of mathematics. This is something we have to make an argument. Dimensionality. We have said it will be a matrix. So matrix should need a dimension. So what type of dimension? So odd dimensionality, that is the minimum odd dimensionality, 3 into 3 is not possible. As traceless condition can be satisfied with multiples of 2, that is understandable. See, here we have said alpha square is equal to 1. Means if you are having three numbers, say 1, 1 or minus 1, then the trace cannot be 0. Either it has to be two numbers, 1 minus 1, or four numbers, 1, 1, minus 1, minus 1. Then only trace can be 0. So, traceless condition demands that 3 into 3, any odd number of matrix, or 5 into 5 is not possible. It should be always multiples of 2, that is 2 into 2, 4 into 4 matrices are allowed. I hope I am clear. Tracelessness condition is the basis of this deduction. So that is 2 into 2, 4 into 4 matrices are, because alpha is I square is equal to beta square is equal to I. Eigenvalues are 1 and minus 1. So and then when you add two numbers, let us say on the diagonal side, you are not going to get 0 if there are 3 in number. That's always a possibility. But if there are 4 numbers or 2 numbers or 6 numbers, you will get a traceless condition. Now consider the lowest even dimension 2 into 2 matrices. The lowest even dimension anti-commuting matrices which come to our mind are poly matrices. And let us take the identity matrix also. We can take 1, 1, 0, 0, the identity matrix. Now let us assume them to be alpha x, alpha y, alpha z and beta, because we need to solve for alpha and beta. First condition, they should be even matrices. That is solved. If this is solved, we can directly use that. But now there is a catch, is that alpha and beta should anti-commute with each other. That is fine till here. Poly matrices anti-commute with each other, but they don't anti-commute with the identity matrix. But here the condition demands that beta should anti-commute with these people also. So anti-commute with each other. Beta and alpha should anti-commute with each other. Now what happens is sigma x, sigma y, sigma z anti-commute with each other but not with I. Hence 2 into 2 matrices cannot be Dirac matrices. And we can have 4 into 4 matrices which anti-commute with each other. So now what is the solution? We have a set of poly matrices, but poly matrices in their original form cannot be used. So now what we will use? We will use a 4 into 4 matrix in this form. I minus I 0, 0. So this comes out to be, let us name this as gamma 4. Beta can be also written as gamma 4 is also a representation of Dirac matrices. 1, 1, minus 1, minus 1. Now it is a 4 into 4 matrix and it is traceless. Similarly, instead of so you use 0, 0, sigma k, sigma k. That is sigma x, sigma x, sigma y, sigma y, sigma z, sigma z. When you express them, you get it as gamma 1 is equal to 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0. So you get, using this expression, you get the alpha x, alpha y, alpha z, or in the 4 in 4 term, they will be called gamma 1, gamma 2, gamma 3 and gamma 4. Because now you are writing some 4 vector type of thing. So you write gamma 4 which is actually beta. So you got the Dirac matrices. And now this is it. And how Dirac matrices will be used for solving a free particle solution will be discussed in the coming classes. Thank you.